Okay, I'm going to do another beer review here. This time I'm going to do Murphy's Irish Stout, draft style Irish Stout, pasteurized beer, imported from Ireland. This is an interesting thing that I haven't seen before. Murphy Stout has been brewed with the same unique recipe since 1856. The ingenious floating draft flow system in the can enables you to enjoy the creamy head of this draft-style Murphy's from a can. This is 4% ABV. On Beer Advocate, it has a score of 84, but the Bros gave it a score of 94. This is interesting because it has a little system in it which makes the head a little bit bigger. If you're drinking it from a can, for me that's interesting. But when I'm drinking a beer that's not just like a regular Budweiser or something like that, I'm gonna pour it. I'm gonna evaluate it accordingly. I'm gonna pour it well and evaluate it well. So here I'm gonna pour this thing. And sorry about that. This might overflow a little bit because of the little system in there might make this thing overflow. There we go. I got it to not overflow. Okay. Okay, let's see here. Thin, less than a 1 finger head. Probably like a beige, maybe an off-white head there. Looks like it got a little bit bigger, maybe like a finger. The head looks thin. It doesn't look too foamy. According to the body, it looks let's see here. It looks pretty dark. But it looks kind of clear through that darkness. I can't really see anything through it, but it looks very dark brown. Dark brown. Looks like a stout or a draft should look. Now, one thing I was interested in this beer is that I've had this before, but it says it's a draft style stout. Now, when I think of a stout, I think of like a Guinness stout. There's a Guinness draft and there's a Guinness stout. The draft has the feeling of a stout, but the flavor is lighter. But a stout is rougher. It's a little bit rougher in the mouthfeel, and it's more bitter and it's rougher, basically. When I've had this before, I think of this as a draft, not as a stout. But when I'm going to drink this, I'm going to compare this to like a Guinness draft, the Guinness draft beer. Because I think when I've had this before, I actually drank this. I bought 2 of them, and the other one I drank when I was in Rifle, Colorado. I bought this in Rifle, Colorado. Okay, looks like the head is retaining pretty well. I mean, at first when I poured it, it looked like a very lightish brown, but now that's kind of cleared up and the head has kind of sifted to the top, it looks very dark, and the head is come into its own. Looks like a little bit of a beige. Maybe, actually it looks whiter now. Beige, off-white, maybe khaki head. Alright, let's go with the smell. What I pick up here is very light, mind you. This is a draft, so I expect that. Even though it says stout on the can, it says draft style stout, so I consider it a draft. What I pick up here is very light. But what I pick up is coffee, of course. I pick up coffee but it's a very light coffee. I mean, I would expect maybe a little bit more coffee than what I'm getting. Okay. Yeah, I pick up coffee. It looks like the head is retaining pretty well here, and it's lacing kind of well. Okay, let's go with the taste. A lot of coffee, of course. But I taste more coffee than I smell in it. The coffee taste is very pleasing to my palate, I would say. Yeah, definitely, totally pleasing. I really like that, actually. Still, maybe it's my nose, but I still pick up very light notes of coffee in the smell. But in the taste, it's a little bit more powerful. Yeah. Okay. Pretty much what I get is coffee, but it's a lightish coffee. It's not like a stout so much, but it's more like a draft. But it's a very flavorful draft style beer. I get coffee, but it's like a thin, mixed with maybe some malts, it's mixed with maybe malts, I would say. I would say that maybe some malts come in, in the aftertaste. But it's mostly coffee, but it's not like a punch coffee. It's not like, it's more like a pleasing, kind of very, very, very pleasing kind of coffee taste that's very thin. Now, see this, I've poured all the beer, but there's still this kind of, mechanism in here that makes the head bigger. This is very pleasing to me so far. For a mouthfeel, very thin, very lightly carbonated. It's not like what I would expect from a stout. A stout, when I think of a stout, I think of a little bit more high carbonation, punching flavor, it's very robust, a lot more aroma, so I consider this a draft beer. But the mouthfeel is very thin, very low carbonation, but not flat. Low carbonation, but not flat, and very thin. Maybe a little bit dry, but mostly thin and very pleasing. Yeah. I would invite, look at this head, actually. Look at the head, how it laces and retains. So overall, I guess on the beer advocate score, I would probably give this a 4.5, maybe a 4.5, something like that, because first of all, when I taste, this is much better to me than a Guinness stout, a Guinness draft. A Guinness draft to me is coffee, but very, very coffee and water kind of. But there's no water in this. I don't taste any water in this. I don't taste water in here, but in a Guinness draft, I taste water. It's like it's thinner than this. Like, this is thin because it's a draft, but what I taste in a Guinness draft is a lot more thin, a lot more water, less flavor. I'll probably do a review of the Guinness draft, but this I would consider it a draft because a stout would be a lot more robust. But this is very pleasing to somebody who doesn't exactly like punching robust stouts, but likes the flavor of coffee and that kind of thing in a beer. So yeah, this is very pleasing. This is probably this is a lot better than the Guinness draft for sure. Yeah, all the flavor, You know, it's very pleasing. I like it a lot. You know, definitely a lot. So yeah, on the considering draft beers, I would consider it very high. So yeah, thank you. This is very good. I'm gonna finish this now.